I don't know if it's too dark to see this or not, but Delilah and I are sitting in the parking lot at Whataburger because the rest inside dine-in doesn't open till 7, and we're eating a jalapeno cheddar cheese sausage biscuit for breakfast. They're the greatest things on earth. But anyway, and then we're gonna have a kissy kiss and a hug and goodbye, and on the road I'll be. And so it's about 4.5 hours from here to Big Bend. That is, if you drive straight through and don't stop and take a ton of pictures, which I can tell you it'll take me longer than 4.5 hours. I'm probably I've got the tripod set up here in the Jeep, just leaning up against the dash. And I'll probably turn this thing on and off periodically and talk. There's some interesting stuff on the way down to Fort Stockton. I'll talk more about it. There's the Sierra Madre Astroblim, which is a gigantic meteor strike that happened a gazillion years ago. I need to get a date on that. And there's also, once you get on closer past Fort Stockton and stuff, a good ways past Fort Stockton, you're getting into a lot of pretty nice mountains and stuff, and there's some cool geology. And anyway, getting off at 4:30 or 5 in the morning didn't really work out all that well. So right now I'm cruising about into Fort Stockton. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I think it's a maxim of going backpacking that you always get a late start, and so probably I'm going to be showing up down to Big Bend about the time it gets really hot. There's a heat advisory for today, and it can get up to 110 in Chisos Mountains, which means down on the desert it'll probably be closer to 115. But I'm anticipating that, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's something about, there's some being in that heat just brings the desert alive. If I'm going to go to the desert, I want to experience the desert. And you don't really experience the desert in March and April. What you experience is the desert in springtime, which is gorgeous. There's so many flowers and everything, and there's such a short window of everything putting on flowers and stuff, but it's beautiful. You go down there, there's a very special bluebonnet called the Big Bend bluebonnet. It's weird looking. It's real tall and stocky, but it's gorgeous, and it only grows in the Big Bend area. And I don't see what's wrong with going down there in the summertime. It's dangerous, I know. You can catch heat stroke. You can get sunburned all to pieces and stuff, and it will be 110. And you'll probably go through a lot more water, and so you got to carry more water. But it's the desert, and that's what the desert's like. It's hot. It's brutally hot, and it's just part of it. And to me, that just enhances the experience of going down there. But anyway, I'm heading down there late, and so gleefully anticipating getting down there and getting my camping permit and heading out into the desert. I'm gonna try tonight to stay kind of close to Dominguez Springs. We'll see if I make it. Okay, I've just left the town of Marathon. I didn't film anything there and everything. It's a pretty little town. The gas is pretty expensive, but you kind of got to fill up with it there because it's the last place you can get gas before you get to the park. And it's only 70 miles from Marathon to the park. So if you're not a photographer, that's about an hour. If you are a photographer, that can be a lot. On the road already between Fort Stockton and Marathon, I've seen javelina and a couple of dead deer or something that a bunch of buzzards were eating. You have to be careful with those buzzards. You accidentally hit one of those, they're a good, 15 pound bird, and they will take out your windshield and stuff. And they don't always fly off the road right when you think they should. But anyway, I'm now, on the road to Big Bend officially, and it's real interesting geologically. If you watch, you can go and see, strongly tilted beds of limestone, which will have fossils and stuff like that in it. The Border Patrol, and this just happens down in West Texas. I'm going to unhook the camera and see if I can aim this out. But as you go through right here, you can see all the stuff aimed at you and stuff. And then here's the actual border station. They may stop me, I don't know. It appears not today. Okay, but they did scan me, and that's to be expected in West Texas. We do have problems with people smuggling humans and stuff across this part of the world. Okay, I have just passed the Persimmon Gap Ranger Station, and it got me on a little paper to put in the window. And from here, I'm driving down to Panther Junction, which is where you got to go to get a backcountry permit. This is some really dramatic stuff driving in. What we have over to the side here, I'll hold the camera out the window, is the Caballo de Muerto mountains, which I think literally means Dead Horse Mountains. And they run north-south down the east side of the park, all the way down to Boquillas. And they were kind of the barrier on hauling ore out of Boquillas. So on up here in a little ways, it's going to be a road to Dagger Flats, and then from that you can take the old ore trail, and it's a pretty nice little drive. You can make it in a stock Jeep. My Jeep's mostly stock, and stuff. It is kind of, I wouldn't try it in anything that's not high clearance. I just don't think, you hop out there on the old minivan, it's going to do too well. Now, with that said, the very first time I went down that was in what was probably a 1968 Volkswagen bus with my dad piloting it, and it was anything but high clearance. And I'm pretty sure we scraped a bunch of times on that. I don't know if they maintained the roads better back in those days. But, so here's the Dog Canyon Trail, takes off here. And you can see Dog Canyon out that direction. And kind of a neat little trail. It's takes you back into a little choked off canyon, gets real photogenic and stuff. I've leaving Panther Junction right now, and I'm heading down to get more gas, because the backcountry is no place you'd want to run out of gas. I got radio just came on. Got the usual set of warnings from the ranger, and you know, it's good advice, and I'm probably a little stupid in doing this trip. But one of the things they've said was be sure you have at least a gallon of water every day you're hiking. And that is such a minimum requirement. And I can tell you, I watched some of the YouTube videos of these guys, quote, soloing Big Bend and stuff. And, they've got a backpack that looks like it weighs 15 pounds, which means it has no water in it. Which, don't watch something like that and get an unrealistic view of what you're allowed to carry, what you can get away with carrying down here. You have to carry extra water. If you break a leg or something and you end up out in the desert, there's no phone reception. Nobody's coming to rescue you. And the water you have on you may be the only water you get until somebody realizes you're lost and does come to rescue you. Okay, it's about noon and I've finally got gas and everything, and I'm driving down to the campsite. I'm right now at the Paint Gap Road, which I'd love to just go down there and goof around some. It's real pretty. But it's already 96 right now, and it's supposed to get up to 115 down at the river, the ranger said, so we'll see. I came out to the desert expecting hot, and it does not look like I will be disappointed. The air here smells phenomenal. I guess it's all the plants, they got a little bit of rain and everything, so they're so 12:03, and we just broke 100 here, and so it's not even the hot part of the day. So, but man, what a drive! Driving right straight into some gorgeous mountains. Anyway, wow, this is so. I needed this so much. It is so pretty. Okay, I'm at the entrance to the Ward Springs Trail, and just giving a panorama right here with Nikon. What a gorgeous scene. Okay, this is Castellon Peak, and it's kind of a landmark down here. Let you know I'm right about the river road where I'm going to be turning off the main paved road. Just back the other side of that is the old Castellon Historic District. Now, this is bright sun right now, so if I was going to be shooting this with a camera, I really don't need a tripod. I'm going to set the GoPro down here. Let's see. Compose a picture here. Now, you see this Ocotillo, that's the stringy bush here in the front. picture with my camera here. I'm going to move to where I have this Acacia kind of in the foreground. I'm using a 20mm lens, so I get plenty of width on everything, and this makes for a really iconic picture of Big Bend, because you've got the Acacia, which is a fairly iconic looking desert plant, with Castellon Peak located there next to it. Makes for a really good shot. Okay, this is the opening to the mouth of Tuft Canyon, and Tuft is this cement looking rock right here. It feels a lot like cement. What it is, it's volcanic ash, and back when the volcanoes were blowing up out here and stuff, it laid down pretty thick layers of this, and you know, once it wet, it kind of hardened like cement. You can see there's basalt bombs inside of it and stuff where lava was flowing out with the ash. Probably would have been pretty exciting to be sitting here. In fact, you'd probably be dead if you were sitting here when the volcanoes were going off. But, well, you'd be underwater too, but that's a minor point. There's a lot of like cave-like openings that are not very big back in the rock there. I don't go poking around in those because a lot of those have snakes and stuff. That's, you know, it's not that they're taking away the holes or something. It's just they're trying to get out of the sun. It gets pretty hot here. It's already well over 100 right now, and just the air is so crisp. There's no humidity. It's really nice. I enjoy this. Okay, I know you can scratch your name in any piece of rock you've seen, but no one wants to see this. No one needs to see this. And I'm sorry you felt so inadequate that you had to scratch your name in the rock. I've got nothing good to say about you. I don't know if that even shows up, but good old Chris had to do it more than once. And it'll wash off probably. It was done 5/20/21, so it's not all that old, but Chris, get a life. You know, if only way you can get validation is carving your name in rocks in national parks where everybody gets to see your junk, you know, I'm sorry. Okay. This is the start of the river road. I'm just pointing it out the front window here. I don't want to get out and try to suction cup a GoPro to my red hot hood right now. Definitely starting to warm up. This is the road they used to use to haul supplies toward Terlingo from Mariscal Mine. At one time, this road was probably in a little better shape than this, but back in the, I don't know, 80s or so, the Park Service decided to stop maintaining it. And so they went about 10 years without maintaining it and then started back maintaining it. It's a very rough road. You do need a high clearance vehicle. You could probably get through without four-wheel drive, but there's a few spots I've always had to shift into four-wheel drive. I'm still tooling along the river road here and trying to get to the camp, but I've taken a ton of pictures. This road is pretty rough. You know, I can't believe that my dad at one time took himself, his wife, and 4 kids up this river road in a Volkswagen bus. We did though, and you know, good times. I love this. You know, this is like so otherworldly, driving into this desert like this. You know, I've heard people say, what's the difference between an arid climate and a desert climate? Well, Odessa, where we live, is an arid climate. It has regular grass, it has topsoil, it just doesn't get a lot of rain. Okay? This is a desert. Even if it did rain, there's not a lot of topsoil, and the flora, or plants, have adapted in such a way that they can survive in this no topsoil, extremely rocky environment. I'd be driving along here talking and then run off the road. You know, and it's a different set of plants that live in the desert, and they are specially adapted to live here. There's creosote bushes, and they're blooming right now, and acacia and prickly pear and a few ground cactuses, and that's about it right in here. There is not a lot of grass or anything else. You get down in the creek bottoms and there'll be mesquite trees and a few different shrubs and stuff, but a lot of catclaw and stuff, but that's about it. And you know, and it's mostly just rock. I'm gonna stick the GoPro out the window here for a second and get a shot of some of this as I go by. I tried putting the GoPro up on the hood of the Jeep, but it's so hot outside that the stupid GoPro overheats every time I set it out in the sun any length of time. And so, I don't know, I fight with GoPro all the time. But here we go. As you can see, you know, the hills, they'll have a few greasewoods or creosote bushes. That right there that just went by was a catclaw. There's some weesach mixed in with that. Most of this, you know, a few acacias and a few prickly pears, it's pretty barren. You'll notice this, how there's no topsoil. It's just rock gravel. This is called desert hard pan. And when it rains on the hard pan and stuff, it just runs off. So even if it does rain, it doesn't do a huge benefit. It'll cause flash floods like nobody's business. But okay, I'm at Johnson's Ranch. It's a little side trip here. It's kind of cool. It looked like it was an adobe, which most of the buildings out here were. It did have a cement floor, and it looks like somebody had done cement rock work over the outside of the adobe at one point. But you know, you walk along this and you see, you know, here's an iron pipe where there probably used to be a water tower up above that where they pumped water up from the river. You know, they had obviously built up this platform, and it looks like, you know, right here would have been flower beds leading all the way around the house. Shows a bit of a woman's touch. Most of the guys probably wouldn't have bothered with flower beds and stuff. You know, there's some outbuildings and stuff around this, and I've spent some time taking pictures of it. You know, I'm impressed a lot of people don't steal a lot of the stuff they find. Somebody has piled various different artifacts that they have found around here on these little planter boxes. And, you know, this would have probably been the front door, probably leading into like a porch area or something right here. And looking over this direction, there's some old car parts and stuff that have, you know, I don't know if they were here originally. I don't remember them when I was a kid and we used to come camping here. This may be one of those things where they were scattered out in the desert and people brought them up here assuming they belong with this. But if you look down there, there's a bear box for the campground. There's some metal that's probably come off of a roof. And anyway, right through those trees is the Rio Grande. So these people had a porch overlooking the Rio Grande on the front side, and out their back doors, they had the Chisos. And, you know, I'm sure it was a super hard life and it's super hard to build a ranch out here. But gosh, how pretty it is. I'm gonna have to tell you straight up, I'm jealous. I would love to live in something like this. I'm not sure I could talk Delilah into it. I don't know. She likes warm and hot and stuff. It's pretty warm today. Temperature on my Jeep said it was 107 when I got out a while ago. You know, looks like whatever they had here, a little building, they had blue floors or something. There's like blue tile. Somebody had cast a cement, you know, it's the desert wash when it washes and floods and stuff. Here was probably like a porch, a rock porch. Has washed a lot of the, probably the adobe itself dissolving, made a lot of that dirt. But it floods here when it rains because this, as you can see, this ground is not going to soak up anything in a big rain. It'll just run off. And so one of the things about the deserts, they're really big. That's a piece of roof right there. That's a white Jeep. A piece of an old wash tub. You know, but can you imagine walking out your back door and bam, there's the Chisos Mountains. You can see Mule Ears Peaks and look down that way and see the opening for Santa Elena Canyon. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. It must have had glass windows. There's a lot of broken glass. And, you know, I'd never take anything from one of these places. It's just, you know, this is a bit of history that's slowly composting back into the earth, and someday, years from now, archaeologists might dig all this back up again and speculate as to the type of people that lived here and stuff. And I can tell you, they had to be some hardy souls. This, I can probably guess raising cattle or doing anything ranching wise would be tough on the Rio, right, you know, out in this desert on the Rio Grande. Here's a rock, mostly rock building, and since it was built out of rock, it appears to have largely survived. It looks like it was made out of stacked rock rather than mortared rock, you know. And I can probably guess getting cement down in here, I don't even know where you'd go to get cement. Probably Alpine, Marfa maybe. Marfa had a train come through, so you could maybe get it trained in. But still, that's, you know, pretty close to 70 miles or 100 miles from here. And you know, no telling what you'd be hauling it on. I'm guessing if they used any kind of gasoline vehicles, you know, heck, I don't know how you would get gas. There weren't a bunch of gas sales. Castellon used to have a gas station, but I don't know how they serviced it back in the really early days. They don't still have one. I can remember as a kid when we'd come up here filling up with one of those visual pumps, and that was the first time I'd ever seen one of those in action, where they pump the gas up into the big glass globe and then run it off into your Volkswagen. But I may have to go get the camera. That's a really iconic shot right there with the rock wall and the Chisos in the background. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Okay, I've had a bit of a change of plan. I was almost at Dominguez Campground, and I came across two gentlemen in dire straits, and y'all can wave hi, and they have a little BMW sport utility, and found out that it's not quite up to the task of the river road, and they've shredded a tire and doesn't have an adequate spare to get out. So I'm turning around at this point and going back to Civilization to give them a ride so they can call for some assistance. You know, like I said when I started down this trail, one of the things you've got to be really careful with is this trail is hard, and there's, you know, a lot of sharp rocks and a lot of drop-offs and stuff, and it's easy to shred a tire on this and stuff. We're going back out the way we came in, even though I'm not sure it wouldn't be faster to go out the other way. But anyway, I will get back on when I return to the camp, which will probably be in the dark. So anyway, you know, I mean, I'm glad I could be there to help these gentlemen out, because this is some unforgiving country, and I don't know what you do if you just cannot. There's no cell phone service, and on a weekday, I don't know how many people had been by.
We were here for 3.5 hours before you came by.
Okay, I'm the first person who come by in 3.5 hours, and I can probably guarantee you there won't be another one through here till in the morning. So, you know, it can be pretty lonely out here. They did have adequate water, which everybody preaches. You can survive without a lot out here, but water is not one of the things. So anyway, I'll get back on later. Okay, it's about 7:14 in the morning. I'm still rolling down the river road. I got up pretty early and got started on this. It's such a rough road, but it's so beautiful. There's so much cool stuff. I'm just passing the gauging station, which is a campground down on the river. After I rescued Brian and Mr. Wong last night, I opted not to drive this road in the dark. This road's dicey sometimes in some places during the day, and I don't have a big bunch of light bars and stuff all over my vehicle, which will turn the night into day, and I don't think I really want them anyway, because, you know, I feel like that'd probably be disruptive to the wildlife and everything else to run those things. But Brian is a nice guy, and seems like a fairly intelligent guy, and Mr. Wong seems pretty intelligent too, but they're typical of not understanding just how dangerous the desert can be. They made this trip in a BMW X3, and you know, I can tear a tire up on this Jeep and everything. The difference being I have a spare, they didn't have a spare in their BMW. And I also have a little air compressor so that if it starts getting flat and everything, maybe I can air it up without it tearing up and stuff. And you know, they said that it had been 3 hours since, you know, that they were stranded out there. And I could believe it, you know. They said they hadn't seen anybody for 3 hours come by. And then I came up and they were like, oh my gosh, please give us a ride and everything. And of course, you know, you have to. You cannot just leave somebody stranded out in the desert. That would be a horrible, horrible thing to do to somebody. And you know, they had some water. They didn't have a lot of food, but they did have a lot of water. And you know, that's the biggie out here. Not having water kills. They weren't too far from the Rio Grande. In an emergency, they could have drank the Rio Grande water. I've always heard you'll die from thirst before you'll die from dysentery. So any water you can find in an emergency, if it'll prolong your rescue and stuff like that, you should go ahead and drink it. You know, I'm not saying don't take adequate precautions, filtering it and boiling it and all that stuff. But if you don't have the facilities to filter or boil your water, you have to have water out here. That is the, you know, the make or break substance. Wow, this road is rough. Wow, that's beautiful out there. Here, oh, I'm getting challenged because there's a cow in the road. Okay, 2 cows decided they were no match for a Jeep Wrangler, you know, and rightfully so. My Jeep Wrangler is a lot tougher than 2 cows. But anyway, I'm not sure why there's so many cows in this part of the park. I feel like probably somebody from Mexico is getting some free grazing by running their cattle over across the river and letting them graze the park. Even though I'm not sure exactly what they're grazing on, because there is like no grass around here. There's just not any grass. And so but anyhow, I'm probably going to get to Dominguez Springs and I'm going to end this video. I don't even know if there's 2 more cows. Cows, lots of cows. Anyway, I don't even know if there's anything interesting on this video or if I'll even post this video. But, because I really intended to do a video about photographing Big Bend while backpacking out on a few of the trails, the lesser known trails. And, you know, circumstances as they are, I haven't gotten onto a trail yet. But it's been fun. Oh my gosh, it's been fun. Gosh, look at that. I know the GoPro won't pick this up. It's too wide angle. Look out across the desert there. Anyway, lots of Ocotillo, creosote bushes are in bloom. It's pretty. Got this gorgeous sunrise going on. It's just really pretty. I finally got back to Brian's X3, and as you can see, this is exactly what happened to him right here. The tire is absolutely trashed, and it's not going anywhere else. He has marked it as safe, and kind of left it on the side of the road at this point. I hope everybody does recover with this, and you know, I think he's got a tow truck coming for it, but this is what a BMW X3 looks like after it's been, you know, taken through the desert. And you know, just keep in mind, desert's a harsh mistress. Beautiful as can be, but harsh. And if you are not quite ready for it, this can happen to you. And like I say, Brian's a smart guy. This isn't something, you know, he was just an unprepared guy. And you know, I hope him and his wife and everybody, Mr. Wong, are all going to be okay after this. But, anyway, desert casualty here. Okay, one last look, Brian. I'm doing a selfie with your dead vehicle. You told me I could get the water out of it, so I recovered all of the water out of the back seat. And I'll put it to good use. But one BMW dead in the desert.